Before the pump ever clicks, before fuel even touches your tank, something far more dangerous has already started. It isn't loud. It doesn't trigger a warning light. And it doesn't feel like a mistake at all. It's a series of small habits, moves almost every driver makes on autopilot, that quietly damage fuel systems, confuse sensors, and in the worst moments, create fire risks that no dashboard will ever warn you about. One of these mistakes happens so often that mechanics see the aftermath weekly, and the final one can save thousands of dollars or stop an accident right at the pump. Stay with this, because most drivers get at least one of these wrong without ever realizing it. Picture a cold morning or a hot afternoon. The nozzle is locked, fuel is flowing, and instinct takes over. The door closes, the seat creaks, the phone lights up. A few seconds later, the door opens again and the hand reaches for the nozzle. Nothing feels different. But electrically, everything has changed. Fuel moving through a hose generates static. The pump, the hose, and the nozzle are grounded to safely bleed it away. When a hand stays on the nozzle, the body becomes part of that grounding path. Slide across a synthetic seat, though, and static builds instantly. Thousands of volts can sit harmlessly on skin until metal is touched again. Right where gasoline vapor is thickest. That vapor doesn't need a flame. A spark smaller than the eye can see is enough. When ignition happens, it happens fast. Flames race upward, panic takes over, and the natural reaction, pulling the nozzle out, can spread burning fuel across paint, pavement, and shoes. If stepping back into the car is unavoidable, touching bare metal away from the filler before grabbing the nozzle again can discharge that static safely. It's a detail written into safety codes for a reason. That danger doesn't always stay outside. Sometimes it moves into the vehicle itself. Fuel cans feel harmless. A plastic container in the trunk or truck bed seems stable, controlled, convenient. But plastic is an insulator, and gasoline splashing into it builds charge fast. When that container sits on carpet, rubber mats, or a bed liner, there's nowhere for the charge to go. Voltage builds silently until it jumps the smallest gap, usually right where vapor collects at the opening. Accident investigations tell the same story again and again. Dry weather. Plastic container. Insulated surface. Spark at the rim. The safer move is simple and boring for a reason. Container on the ground, nozzle touching the opening the entire time, no shortcuts. Then there's the habit that feels responsible but does real damage quietly. The pump shuts off. The tank is full. And the trigger gets squeezed again. Just a little more. On modern vehicles, that extra fuel has nowhere to go. The space above the fuel isn't empty. It's designed for vapor expansion and recovery. Force liquid past that point and it travels into lines meant only for vapor, soaking charcoal designed to stay dry. Once saturated, that system can't breathe properly. Refueling becomes frustrating. Odors appear. Warning lights follow. And repairs that start small quickly climb into hundreds of dollars. The click isn't a suggestion. It's the system saying stop. Sometimes the mistake happens before the pump is even touched. A tanker truck is unloading, covers are wet, fuel is rushing underground at enormous rates. Sediment that normally stays settled gets lifted into suspension. While station filters help, stirred tanks mean contamination reaches vehicles sooner. Particles hit fuel filters harder, pumps strain, injectors suffer. Waiting a few minutes, or coming back later, lets everything settle again. Calm tanks mean cleaner fuel. Then there's the habit many drivers brag about. Running the tank as low as possible. Stretching the last mile. Modern fuel pumps live inside the tank and depend on fuel for cooling and lubrication. Low levels expose them to heat and vapor. Repeated cycles like that shorten pump life dramatically. Add the fact that sediment concentrates near the bottom of the tank, and running on fumes becomes a perfect storm of heat, debris, and air ingestion. Refilling around a quarter tank keeps the pump cooler and happier. Some habits raise risk instantly. Leaving the engine running while refueling feels convenient, but it keeps ignition systems active, fans ready to switch on, exhaust hot, and electronic cycling. Gasoline vapor doesn't rise and vanish. It drifts, sinks, and spreads. Safety rules are written for the one moment everything aligns wrong. A gust of wind, a tiny spill, a relay arc. Turning the engine off drops risk immediately and prevents sensor confusion that can linger long after the fill. Others introduce damage that doesn't show up until much later. Pouring old gasoline from a forgotten can into the tank feels thrifty, but time changes fuel chemistry. Volatile components evaporate. Octane drops. Gums form. Ethanol absorbs moisture. The last ounces in that can are often the worst. Once inside the tank, NOx sensors intervene, timing pulls back, power fades, and deposits start forming where precision matters most. Old fuel belongs at hazardous waste facilities, not in modern fuel systems. Even where fuel is bought matters. The quiet station, the lonely pump, the rock-bottom price. Low turnover often means fuel sits longer. Water settles. Microbial growth can form at the fuel-water interface. High-volume stations cycle fuel constantly, diluting contamination and catching issues faster. Rough idle, hesitation, clogged filters, and injector problems often trace back to where fuel was purchased, not how the car was driven. Containers matter too. Approved fuel cans are built for materials that resist gasoline and limit vapor loss. Random bottles aren't. Many plastics soften, leach chemicals, or shed microscopic fragments when exposed to fuel. Modern injection systems operate at tolerances smaller than a grain of dust. Contamination introduced before fuel ever reaches the tank doesn't show itself until pumps grow noisy and injectors lose precision. Additives aren't immune either. Dumping cleaners into an almost empty tank creates extreme concentration before dilution. Vapors churn, solvents overload systems, and charcoal canisters absorb chemicals they were never meant to see. Additives work when used as directed, not as a shortcut. Fuel-grade shortcuts cause quieter harm. Engines calibrated for higher octane will protect themselves when fed less, but protection comes at a cost. Timing pulls back. Combustion shifts. Heat moves downstream into exhaust valves, turbos, and catalysts. Over time, that heat ages components that cost far more than the savings at the pump. Some drivers take frustration further, drilling caps or modifying filler necks to fix slow filling. That bypasses systems designed to manage vapor, protect tanks, and keep contaminants out. The real solution is repairing venting issues, not defeating them. Even dirt around the fuel door matters. Mud, salt, and sand fall straight into the filler if ignored. Particles too small to see can be large enough to damage injectors designed for micron-level precision. A quick wipe saves long-term damage. When pumps behave strangely, clicking early, refusing to flow, the cause is often inside the vehicle, not the station. Forcing fuel past that resistance flood systems meant only for vapor, turning small issues into expensive ones. And finally, the smallest part with the biggest consequences. The gas cap. Left loose, cross-threaded, or barely clicked, it breaks a system designed to stay sealed. Vapors escape. Moisture enters. Corrosion forms. Warning lights appear. Entire systems get replaced when the real fix was a few extra clicks. Tightening until it clicks, slowly and fully, locks the seal and saves money. Fixing refueling habits protects the engine, but fuel quality still matters. Some gasoline brands quietly shorten the life of pumps, injectors, and catalysts. Like, share, and subscribe for more real car care insights. Drop a comment telling where you're watching from, and stay tuned, because the next video breaks down the gasoline brands that hurt engines and the ones that actually protect them.